Hey, Shalom. I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings to the elect. Um, I have an article here, dealing with the situation out there in Lebanon that happened a couple of weeks ago. And the title of the article is Lebanese Face Threat of Widespread Hunger After Beirut Explosion. And come to find out, that was pretty much a food plant that was destroyed, and a lot of uh like the port where pretty much their food arrives was I believe 80% destroyed. So is all of these things is actually causing a widespread hunger. And what's a widespread hunger? A famine. You know, something that in which the Bible prophesies about. Now this, everyone wonders, why is Beirut, being destroyed and explosions are happening, in the fashion that it is, and it makes sense because the elites of the society want a famine. Ultimately it's the Heavenly Father, but certain strings are pulled to where it can these things happen, you know, and for the simple fact that it may uh, go in their favor, as far as the elites. It's all a form of control. You control the money, you could control the food, you control the people. So I just want to read some of this article here. It says, in the wake of the massive explosion that devastated large parts of the Lebanese capital, a new danger is stalking the struggling country: hunger. The early August blast, which killed more than 150 people and displaced hundreds of thousands from their homes, destroyed the grain silos storing most of the country's wheat supplies and badly damaged the seaport through which 85% of its food imports arrive. The destruction also threatens to deepen an economic downturn in Lebanon that has already sent unemployment soaring, which America is experiencing right now, right? We got to look at these key factors. Sparked runaway inflation and led to an 80% depreciation of the local currency, the Lebanese pound. I just want to drop dead, said Mohammed Munzir, 48 years old, who had too close his fragrance in toy store last year because of the tanking economy. The country is frozen after the explosion. It says, uh, right here, it says Mohammed Munzir can barely feed his 5 children, selling perfume from a store owned by his brother. All right, so they going through it, man. And here it is, in America, you know, yeah, you got people still in pride, so America isn't really feeling the grips that's actually being put upon this place because, a lot of money is being distributed, throughout this country. Um, though you got some people suffering, out of jobs and everything like that, but unemployment, is pretty much being a band-aid unto the people. But as the grips get tighter, nothing's going to be able to help you. No stimulus checks, no unemployment, no type of relief fund, nothing, right? It says even before the catastrophe, Mr. Munzir was struggling to feed his 5 children. On some nights, he said, family dinner is a single can of fava beans shared among the entire household. Mr. Munzir said he has lost 44 pounds over the past year as his income has shrunk amid the economic crisis. He had been surviving by hawking counterfeit perfume outside a store run by his brother. Now he said he hasn't made a sale in 3 weeks. Even if I made some money to buy food, he said things are so expensive now. We can't afford anything. Hyperinflation. America will see this this detriment as well. Right? It says aid agencies warn that hunger could become the norm in what used to be middle income nation. So what's in turn going to happen? It's going to be a lot of robbing and stealing. You know, Before the blast, the World Bank had estimated that 22% of the Lebanese could be pushed into extreme poverty and 45% below the poverty line. Already, we were in the situation where in many families, the parents and the children would go to bed hungry, but it was a manageable hunger, said Jad Sacker of Lebanon country director for the charity Save the Children. He said he worries that outright starvation is now a possibility. Lebanon has been suffering from food shortages even before the explosion. Before the explosion, an estimated 1.6 million people were in need of food and agriculture aid in Lebanon. That is 23.4% of the total population. So what? They catching bad times, man. They are catching real bad times. The United Nations had projected that Lebanon will need more than $47 million to ensure food security in the immediate future, calling for food rations, cash assistance, and wheat imports. You know, so all of these things are happening, and in turn, what is it doing? It's further devaluing the dollar. It's further devaluing the dollar. It says food shipments are being rerouted to the northern Lebanese port of Tripoli, which can only handle a fraction of the Beirut port's capacity. Some aid shipments that were earmarked for Syria via Beirut have been diverted to Syrian ports. So look at these people. This woman here, she has an empty refrigerator. It says an estimated 45% of Lebanese were at risk of falling below the poverty line even before the explosion, as we read earlier. So they're going through it, man. And guess what? This is all going to come to America. This is all going to come to America, They got the kids out there, I believe there's that bread and water, children collecting food donations near the site of the explosion, So everybody's going through it, And, I asked myself, damn, what was the purpose of, that particular area being destroyed? Come to find out, it was a food plant. It was a food plant. You brothers could pretty much, check out this article. It's pretty lengthy, It's pretty lengthy, but hey, man, this thing happened all of a sudden. Here it is. They're already experiencing, bad times. But guess what? It became that much worse. In America, it's only a moment in time before America is going to experience that as well. Lamentations, let me choose chapter, Salakia. Lamentations 4:9. It says, Lamentations 4:9, it says, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. So it's better to die by the sword, man. The modern day gun, destruction, hell, let's say even martial law, you get put to death, in those fashion, guess what? It's better because why? The death is quick. There's not much suffering that's going to be experienced as opposed to being slain by hunger. It's because that's what a slow death, man. That's a slow death because, you go days on end without food, the body starts eating at itself. Then you start suffering from dementia. Then you turn into what? Your mind start altering to where it's like, all right, now you're seeking cannibalism. It's going if Lebanon doesn't get any help, soon, a lot of people are going to start resorting to cannibalism, man. Because hey, man, that's a slow death, man. That's a slow death. It says, for these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. And as you can see by those photos and those images in that article, they're on want. They're in dire need, of the fruits of the field. Because this happened. This happened in the past, and this is all going to come to America as well. It says, the hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. And that happened, within our history, of being Israelites, but it's not far-fetched that it's going to happen to certain places and around the world, but the greatest destruction is going to be here in America, man, here in America, real quick. Let me grid, the book of Sirach. Not Sirach. I believe that's Ezra's. Second Ezra's. Is that 6:22? It says, Second Ezra chapter 6 verse 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And where were the storehouses? That's where those ports came in. But 85% of those ports got destroyed, you know. And I believe America got a portion of their food imports from Lebanon, from the import and export. You know, uh, so when food, is being diminished, as far as coming into the soils of America, guess what's going to happen to the food products that are actually here in America? The prices are going to go up, you know? And we know that the government has a device called the heart. We get, what's that? We get about 80% of our vegetables, fruits and vegetables from California. It's nothing for them to pretty much, cause a disaster attack, you know, destroy, you know, those fields in California. And now guess what? The rest of the country has to suffer. So what's going to happen in these other supermarkets and the other states? The price is going to go up. Meanwhile, your check is still the same. We see these things happening. Now people are starting to wake up. Now people are starting to realize that America is slowly turning into a third world country. And the prophets have been telling you this. The prophets have been telling you this from the beginning. Why? Because it's our duty. It's our job. And those men who aren't speaking upon these matters, they're not prophets. Who call themselves teaching the Bible, they're not prophets. They're not warning the people. It's Jeremiah chapter 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. And that's what's happening. We got all of these countries at odds with each other. Russia don't like America. China don't like America. Iran don't like America, and vice versa. Israel don't like Iran. North Korea is at odds with South Korea. All of these countries are at odds. We speak upon these things. We speak of World War III on the brink. We're speaking of the evils, with the social injustice, all the racism, the COVID-19 coronavirus. We speaking upon all of these things. We speaking on food shortages. We speaking on famines. Great Millstone is speaking about these things, right? It says, and the prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord has truly sent them. So what? People going to know when shit hits the fan, pretty much when it's too late, that, beginning with our apostles and elders at Great Millstone, that we were telling the truth. That we were telling the truth. Because why? Everything that we said was going to happen is happening. And that's just the straight and skinny of it. That is just the straight and skinny of it. So I'm going to read that one more time. The prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord hath truly sent them. That's right. So here it is. There's no peace. There is no peace because war has to be established first. We're actually going to receive peace in the kingdom. So if you got men out there that's teaching you that narrative of everything's going to be all right, that's only for the elect. Everything's not going to be all right for the masses of the people. If you got somebody out there teaching like, oh, there's hope in America. We can rule side by side with Edom. He's not a man of the Lord, man. He's not a prophet. He's not a prophet. Two kings can't rule at once. And hell, Yahweh Shai, he's not ruling side by side with a devil, with an Edomite, with no pigment within his skin. He's not ruling side by side with him. He's going to put his ass down where he needs to be, in shackles and chain. Why him and his men, his chosen elect, rule side by side, as joint heirs. As we know, Yahweh Shai is the head. He's the King of Kings, but he's allowing us to be joint heirs. So we in perilous times, man. We are in perilous times. And that's the thing, people think that just because it's happening in another country, that it's not going to happen here. Second Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days, perilous times shall come. That's all we really need. Perilous times shall come. Meaning what? Dangerous times. You know, dangerous times. So what's the wise thing to do? Get right with Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You know, get right with Yahweh Hashem Yahushai in spirit and in truth, man. In spirit and in truth. Because when the Lord, sends his son down, what ultimately which ultimately is, he's the grim reaper. He's slaughtering everything that's not right. He's slaughtering everything that is not right. And we don't want to be found, to be in that fashion. Let me see if I can find the next scripture. What is it? Escape me. Days are evil. Let me see. No, that's it. It's Ephesians chapter 5, verse 10. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. It says, wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead. That's right. Which is what? Essentially, 2/3 of our people are still asleep. The only people that will sleep and that's waking up is the elect. So here it is, with the Apostle Paul, going to the church of Ephesus, as we go out there and teach, we're telling people to wake up. So, the Apostle Paul had to write letters, to the church of Ephesus. And he said, wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead. And we know the scriptures, he that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So, you have people in the church of Ephesus who had no understanding of this word. It says, and arise from the dead, and Hamashiach shall give thee light, which is this truth. It says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Because once you have the light, you're able to be what? Circumspect. You're able to look around, be aware of your surroundings. You're able to tell, okay, this situation is going on in Lebanon. Oh, that was a food plant that got destroyed. Oh, famine. Now this could trickle down to America. These things can happen. That's how you, walk circumspectly. You start putting things together, and in the midst of all of that, guess what? Your faith is being built up because what the Bible is saying is going to happen is starting to happen. Now, faith is getting built up. Now when the faith is getting built up, you believe more. When the Lord said that he was going to feed his servants, you start to believe that, because if he said a famine was going to happen and it's happening, he also said that he was going to feed his servants. They're not going to hunger. They're not going to starve. They're going to have drink. Then that's going to force you to believe those words of encouragement as well. So it says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. We in perilous times, man. And so it says, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And that's what it's about, understanding what the will of the Lord is. It's not about our will. It's about the Lord's will. And the Lord's will is to what? Have martial law. The Lord's will is to have a famine. The Lord's will is to have pestilence and plagues. The Lord's will is for World War III. The Lord's will is for America to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. And the Lord's will is to also have the nation of Israel, beginning with the elect, spearheaded by Yahweh Shai, the 12 apostles, and the elect, pretty much the government body and the kingdom to come. That's the Lord's will. That's the understanding of it, And it says, and be not drunk with wine wherein excess, but be filled with the Spirit, So, you don't want to be consumed, by the flesh. But we want to be filled with the Spirit, because that's what's going to keep us alive and our eyes open, in the times, in these days to come. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, unto the elect. Look, we almost home, man. That's all I can really say. We almost home, and let's just, stay tight and stay firm, within this word. Keep pushing. So with that, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings to the elect. Shalom.